still. Learn to be still. What are you noticing these days that you didn't notice before? What are you remembering that you noticed long ago, but let it slip away in the crush of each day's perceived demands? What might you find in the stillness of this moment? What might these recognitions empower you to do? Please join in saying the words to accompany the lighting of our chalice, which I am going to try to do. If I succeed, yes. We light our chalice as a beacon of hope, a sign of our quest for truth and meaning. We light our chalice as a beacon of love in celebration of the life we share together. I'm having trouble hearing the singing. Our reading this morning is a variation on the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verses 17 through 27. Verses of all the verses of the Bible that have haunted me most. This is my own very loose but spirited translation of that text. Jesus was walking down the road with a bunch of people who thought he was cool, and just a few, who lived for his message, his company, and his work. Then this guy comes running up to him, falls down on his knees, and asks, "Good Rabbi, what must I do to be saved?" Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one's good except the one ground of all being. That's good. But you know the commandments. Don't kill. Don't be unfaithful to the one you love. Don't steal things. Don't tell lies. Honor the people who've raised and cared for you." "Oh, Rabbi, I've kept all those commandments ever since I was a kid." Then Jesus looked at him and loved him and said to him, "One thing you lack. Sell all you have and give to the poor, and you'll have treasure in the world of the Spirit. And then come with me." And yeah, the man was deeply troubled by these words and went away in sorrow, because he had a lot of wealth and privilege, and he trembled to imagine the misery of a life without it. If he gave all that he had to the poor, he too would live as they did, vulnerable, exploited, discounted, and in pain. Jesus looked at his disciples and said to them, "How hard it is to enter the kingdom of God if you're used to comfort and security. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle." This freaked out almost all the people who were following him around. They read all the right books. They were following him around, on the weekends anyway, when it wasn't too hot to go to the rally. And they were like, "Then how can anybody be saved?" "Yeah," he said, "it's really tough. But everything's possible with God." A lot of us know the story of this first hymn very well, but I never hear or sing it without thinking about it. A long time ago, there was an Englishman named John Newton who was forced by extremity to stop what he was doing and face what it meant to live as he was living. What Newton did for a living was to transport kidnapped people from the west coast of Africa through absolute misery and terror into, if they survived, the limitless exploitation of chattel slavery for them, for their children, for their children's children's children. On one of Newton's journeys through the Middle Passage, with over 200 human beings shackled and stacked in the hold beneath his feet, he stood on the deck and saw a massive storm arising that might easily sink this vessel with everyone aboard. And in his terror and dread of dying, he experienced what he called a conversion. Soon, though not soon enough for those people in that hold. He quit his job and devoted the rest of his life to exposing the evil of slavery and preaching the gospel of its abolition. This is the song that he wrote. Please join in singing it, our first hymn, Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve. Oh, precious gift that grace appeared, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us on. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we know last days to sing God's praise than when we first began. Amazing the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is time for the community greeting. I will minimize the slides and feel free to turn your videos on or chat and say hello. We will read as many chats as we can. Also would like to apologize for Old Hundredth, not the sound not coming through. And Elaine, thank you for leading us through it.
It's not working.
On mute.
Hello, friends. Good morning. And hello.
Good.
Yeah, waving is good. I think I like the waving thing. Really. You just
All right, let's read some chats. My apologies. People couldn't hear the sound. We fixed that one. Love the music. Hi to all from Naomi. Margaret is hi everyone. Great to see you all. Thank you, Elaine, for a wonderful message. We have been blind. May we now all see. Terry says hello everyone. Meg. Good morning everyone. Thanks so much, Elaine. Lori says, thank you and beautiful voice, Elaine. So good to be here. Michael, thanks, Elaine, and good morning. Good morning also from Justina and Allison. Hi from the hills. Janice says, good so special to find you here again. Liz and Lynn Marie say, love George's backgrounds. I have to turn somebody's video on. Hold on one second. I'm having trouble finding your video, but I apologize. Lots of good mornings, wonderful hugs. Oh, for some of those wonderful hugs from Patty. Nancy, hi from Newburyport, so beautiful. Another good Sunday together from Sally. Georgia, it's wonderful to hear listening to Elaine. Judy Hyde in Canada, Iguana. Wow. Kit says, Amazing Grace is such a special song. Thanks for sharing that one, and I have to echo that. All right, Judy's in, oh, don't make me say it. Canadian, I'm gonna mess it up, I apologize. Judy somewhere, it's awesome. I'm assuming it's in Canada, and check chat for the right town. My apologies. And Elaine, I'm going to kick it back to you. Just a second. Wait, can't hear you.
There, I'm unmuted. Okay, now it's time for our offering. Since March, we've been directing Sunday morning donations to our local COVID-19 relief fund. You may also choose to support the Society directly or contribute to our Sanctuary Fund or Irita's GoFundMe page. Please use the blue Donate button on the homepage of our website. What we do matters, and our generosity is making a difference. Here to serenade this precious work is Ruby Kulis. singing We'll Build a Land.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come build a land where sisters and brothers together as one may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come build a land where sisters and brothers together as one may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters and brothers together as one may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers together as one may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
And now for our meditation. After the meditation, we'll have a time of silence. Our meditation this morning comes from the work of Henry David Thoreau, a chapter in Walden called Where I Lived and What I Lived For. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. Moral reform is the effort to throw off sleep. To be awake is to be alive. I have never yet met a man who was quite awake. How could I have looked him in the face? I wish I knew. Excuse me, I am too low. Here we go. This will hit more people. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I could say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole world to hear. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole world to hear. I wish I could share all the love in my heart. Remove all the bars that still keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could live all I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things I can do, though I'm way overdue. I'll be starting anew. I'll be way overdue. I'll be starting new. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. Then I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. There's a video darting about on the internet these days that imagines a speech from the Earth's point of view, asserting the message of this pandemic. Through this devastating virus and the horrendous human loss and lockdown it's entailed, the ecosystem is forcing a great big chunk of the industrialized world to stop, to breathe deeply while we can, to look around and to notice. Notice by its sudden suspension all the noisome, pollutive activity in which we're engaged that doesn't need to be like this. And notice also by its still so poignantly lingering resilience in beauty and necessity, everything that does. I like that video. It seems exactly true to me. But the worst of it is only my privilege, my immense privilege, has enabled me to afford both the technology to access that video and the time to contemplate its message. Because I'm a teacher who, for the last 2 months of this school year, was permitted to work with my students online from home, I had occasion to discover many things about myself and the life I've been living, of which to some degree I've been aware for a very long time, but which came home to me profoundly under these new conditions. We were still working very long days, but now I did that in a house with just my one companion in the relative silence of a suddenly much less cluttered life. And like a number of other people of my economic and racial privilege, I found in this employed but undistracted inside time an extraordinary opportunity for growth. I'm not a very visual person, as Terry could tell you. I walk into doors and lose myself in parking lots on a regular basis. I grew up in a family with several unacknowledged elephants in its rooms, where it was safest to listen to the words and ignore all they carefully refused to describe. But my partner, Terry, hears with her eyes. And after 20 years as her partner, I am finally beginning to look where she is looking and discipline my heart to attend to what is there, to notice what matters and what doesn't. Notice, for example, how absurdly overstuffed and distracted and full of crap and routine violence and breathtaking hell-bent destruction this particular civilization is and has been for an unconscionable stretch of decades into centuries of hustled, wholesale, larcenous, bulldozing, obliterating devastation of life. Devastation, utterly real to the millions who've been forced to cope with it every day of their lives. But devastation perceived only dimly, if at all, by its beneficiaries. The world is on fire. But the view from my air-conditioned windows is the verdant beauty of our tree-lined Northampton street. Notice. Look with attention and for a long time. As long as it takes for that which we notice to speak to our minds, our spirits, and our hands. Just the other morning, as I stood in our driveway waiting for Terry to back the car out of it so I could join her for our errand to the recycling center, I caught a breath of exhaust, just one breath before retreating. That's toxic, I thought, those oil and gas fumes, as I stepped back to protect my lungs. But my very next thought was, many people have to breathe these fumes every day, all day, all night. And then, as in so many other moments this spring and summer, I felt the stunning symmetry of this summer's juxtaposition. The essential workers, and so the dispensable, the routinely sacrificing and sacrificed workers, sweat and labor in harm's way, and many die. To enable a subset of more privileged workers to labor in safety at home, or to be above the necessity of labor at all, reaping the unearned increment of others' exploitation. It is a haunting spectacle to bear witness to, when one has the space and light to bear witness, not to the words of the powerful, but instead to the suffering those words deny, discount, and disappear. As a teacher of literature and United States history, I devoted my life to teaching empathy and exploding the vicious narrative of hierarchy, gender, race, and class. And yet, I'm also very comfortably placed within that hierarchy. I and my middle-class salary and my mortgage and air conditioning and my beloved hopeful street full of Black Lives Matter signs, whose homes are priced well beyond the reach of low-income families, including the vast majority of Americans of color. So my own noticing in this first phase of pandemic time has dropped into awareness like a sentence, incrementally, in 3 clauses. I begin to see myself. I begin to see the world. And I begin to see the role I play in it. Maybe the most important thing I see is that seeing is a relative term, because it might be more accurate to say, I've had a glimpse of myself, a glimpse of the world, a glimpse of my role in it, a flash of light, a half waking, like those dreams in which you think you're awake until so many absurd events pile up that it comes to you while you're still very much asleep, that this is a dream you're living in, and the element in which you felt you were moving was not action, but a thought, real nowhere beyond the confines of your mind. I sit in my air-conditioned study in our quiet home, eating really healthy bread with my favorite pure fruit jam and sipping my favorite soda while I read anti-racist literature and watch webinars about the systemic violence and misery on which my privileges are founded. As somebody recently remarked, when yet another person of color dies a wrongful death, liberal white people form a book group. I would never want to disparage that learning. It's invaluable and ongoing, but it costs very, very little. Justice, reparation, and rebirth demand much, much more. Relationships live or die by what we notice and fail to notice about one another, about our surroundings, about causes and effects, and the role we play in them. We move as in a dream, choosing without consciously recognizing all that our choices generate or destroy. Enmeshed in a growth economy doomed on a finite planet, enmeshed in a deeply inequitable system that empowers a few at the expense of everybody else. We are persuaded that reality is what the voices around us have decreed it must be. We believe the walls are real and impenetrable, and we can see no door. But the walls are of human design, and human beings can build something better. We have waking moments in the space between distractions when all we didn't think we could afford to notice calls to us imperatively to see. Justice, reparation, rebirth demand much more than vision. Give all you have, said Jesus of Nazareth. Only in the active pursuit of justice can peace and life everlasting be found. It is the door and the way to open it to bring the inside out. Spirit, give us courage and more light to see our way. Amazing grace. And now our final hymn, Wake Now My Senses. We'll do 3 verses. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Take now my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. May reason and loving action break down the walls and overthrow the madness in the world that we have made. May we enlist our senses, our compassion, and our conscience in the cause of love and justice, and in our own hearts and hands become the change we seek. Go in hope. Go in peace.